My S1 last week after they had scared us during orientation. Girl in a yellow shirt, why are you scratching yourself?
And you haven't even scratched yourself.
Yeah. So she was there. Then in my S6, I remember electricity went in half of the school. So we left class and went to stay in hostels as A-levels. So we went to a hostel called Hostel A, and because the school that I had power, electricity.
So they're connected to the clinic.
Like, yes, we're like all there, like in one hostel, like all 80 of us in that class. So we didn't notice the power had come back. And then Sister Seraphine comes and enters the hostel. It has a wide corridor with 2 doors. One door was closed. So we're in there. And those guys are like, you know what? We're going to have to jump out the windows. And I said, I'm not going to jump out anyway. I told him, I cannot jump out the window. I told him, I cannot get out the window. I told him, no, I shall walk out that door and get punished. But yeah, you refused to jump out the window. Yes, as the first one out the window. People suggested it as a joke. No, like I don't know like if anyone was going to jump, but I jumped and I walk and I'm looking around and people are laughing and there's no one coming out the window.
What I appreciate at this point in time is the fact that there was once scarcity and there is now plenty. There's a lot to deal with. You know, I was telling someone that even things as basic as chocolate, like what you see as basic chocolate of 7,000 had to come say from Nairobi. So if someone sold chocolate back then, that was a big deal. Those days like pay us on campus and give, I don't know that they still give people pocket money, but they used to pay us to do the university. Yeah, they pay you, so you open a bank account and they pay you.
They still give you
are assured of jobs, you left campus and you work.
Now with the internet, you're in a unique situation where you've experienced the gist of both worlds. So how do you think it's better with the internet or it's better without it?
I think you are very efficient without the internet. For example, you'd have a date. You'd have like a date with someone, and you tell them during the school term that we'll meet up at a particular location on a particular day. And because of the lack of telephones, that person would be there at that time in that location. And like everything else was very efficient. Because like I remember I got my university admission through the post. You get all your correspondences through the mail in a fairly efficient manner. But as well, people were less fraudulent. So even if there was money in that envelope, no one would touch it. Straight, no one would steal it. I don't know why, but that's what it was.
Well, let me tell you my Christmas. I've been mentioning going to the village. Our Christmas in town.
Hey.
Anyways, yes, let's pause there. But anyways, what I remember fondly was food. But there was this particular, my big brother, for him it was special. Every time he'd finish eating, my father would have to massage his stomach. Like, I am so full. So there was that special session. They had to massage and then the food would settle.
I was, I think, at Macquarie Child Study Center, which is near the Department of Education. But the teacher there was a wife to my dad's colleague. So my dad used to teach us. Still teaching at Macquarie College of Engineering. Now, for her, I was not a student. I was like her little one. So I spent my day on her back, drinking juice. As in, I was not in school. So when they took me to this other school, I was like, I'm rioting, I'm going home. So that's my most fun moment. I got a few games after that and started staying at school. But yeah, that's like my rebel moment.
So, when you were growing up, during the First World War, and growing up in Nairobi, 19X, where X is large, it's you as a child, you push the boundaries. you always have to do a few things to earn your place among
Legend.
the legends, the kids. Among those was shoplifting. That was entry level. Shoplifting, fighting. I see you. I remember the first time I contributed, I really felt I needed to be part of the guys. And so one of those days they tell me, okay, they showed me what to do. You can get like a pilot run. They show you how you do it.
Sound like a movie.
Thumbs up. Then we went. By that time there was Uchumi. I went, did my first shoplift, which turned out to be the last. It didn't end well. So they grabbed me, they put me there, and so they're going to call police. I mentioned all my friends. I basically gave them the entire module. This is what they do. And, yeah. So those are my memories. My mom was to say she was a disciplinarian would be an understatement. She was
The crazy goat.
the lady beats the beef out of me. So those were my memories growing up.
Most of my learnings came from social setting.
Yeah.
There was a lot of community politics. There were times, now this is very, very characteristic of the flat environment. There are times your parents will not even be around for like 2 weeks. But I kid you not, you'll be put in line more than when they were there. So if you did something, it would never pass your parents' report. They'd be like, this girl did this. And there was no statute of limitations. Even if it was 4 months back, it would come for you. Yeah, so one of the things I enjoyed from that exactly was seeing my friends being beaten openly, like without yes, it's no confirmation, but I mean the reverend says that guy choked like 2.
Tell them about Christmas in the class. You bring all your dining chairs outside, you roast meat with 200 people. 200 people, yeah, burning chairs.
Burning chairs, that's the one. So I didn't know burning chairs was illegal until they rounded up a number of people.
So it's like having low-cost living where you have more than 25 houses. And imagine every home has about 4 to 5 kids. So at 5, everyone runs out of the house. Like you just hear, and then like at 7, everyone goes silent. But then it's like a gated community. You do life together. Sometimes you share meals, sometimes you celebrate losses at births. And somehow our parents are still friends with those people. You become friends with the kids, but also you sort of do things differently. Yeah, but that's what it is. So some are condominiums like Golovi, others are like semi-detached houses. But it's pretty much just being in the same space with over 25 homes.
Start New York, JFK. When I was there saying heard, on the side, heard me 4 hours. So it started inside, but I remember I got to the office, they're greeting everybody, but you go to somebody's desk, they're there typing, like, hello, and they're like, hello, and they remain looking at us as in, like, so, like, I'm just saying hi, and I'm like, hi. So after the first day, I figured, okay, this is what it is. In the 30 days I was there, I spoke to people for like 3 days. After that, I spent literally the entire time talking to nobody. Like until a point where your mouth smells, even if you haven't spoken to. Like it's you. They showed me where the train is, where I get off, and I get off from my stop, get into the train, go get to office. It's open space. Everybody's minding their own business. Nobody's talking to you. Lunch is over there. Pick it, go back, press repeat. They want. So towards the second week, I started calling people back, saying Kampala. I'm like, hey, what's up? He's like, dude, it's 3 a.m. I'm like, yeah. How are you? And I've never been so homesick in my life. One time I went to Starbucks and the guy, the lady. So everything is so fast paced. It's like everybody's just like 125. There's lines of people are making like there's always a queue. The queue is always moving, but everybody's like this. Like everybody's so busy. And so the lady asked for my name, and then after I'm waiting for my coffee, and then she says, "Excuse me, come. Are you Melvin?" And I got excited. I'm like, "Oh my god!" First it's talking to me, and then she hands me my coffee, and then goes back to being serious. That was the last person I spoke to. I've never been so homesick, just yearning to talk to someone, have a conversation. You would get into the train and everybody, the doors open, people get in, sit, they have their phones, earphones, everybody invests in earphones. They all look like young here. I remember when I came back, I was so glad to be back home in Kavuyo and confusion and traffic and dust. You want to kiss the ground. And so it always reminds me of these people from the diaspora when they come back. And they're so excited. And they're like, hey man, it's you can taste the excitement. So my experience working abroad was not like most.
Like I remember the time I went to set up a system in DC, the government offices, just near the White House, and people would always ask me whether I was from upstate, so they thought I was a black man from New York or something. Because people wondered where had I started from, being given like access rights. So those government offices, the access is heavily restricted. And for most of us who are coming out of the Ugandan embassy here, the American embassy here in Kampala, so you get full privileges to enter those government. You are treated like an American government, US government employee, and therefore pensionable and everything that goes with that. So you'd have access rights to the government's computer system and to the federal buildings. But in all those places, what I noticed was that I was always like the only black guy who had been to school, painfully. Like you go to set up like a system, or you're an analyst in an office, and you're doing whatever you're doing. It's like there are no black people who can do that stuff. So it was always very strange. You enter a room like this, and you're like only yes, there are a few Hispanics here and there who are doing some cleaning. A few people outside that we know they're black guys like shoveling snow off the sidewalk. And so it was a very strange and humbling experience for me coming from Makerere University and finding my way in such places. But overall, I would say traveling is a very interesting experience. I would rate maybe I would rate Bangkok even more interesting than New York. I enjoyed being in Bangkok a lot. I enjoyed it so much that I was there, I think, 3 times. Back, forth, and back and forth to Bangkok. It's just a very exciting place. But what happens is when you start traveling there, it's kind of addictive at some point. Now I'm a bit older, it's hard dealing with kids and everything, but as a younger person, if I was like Paul's age, I would surely enjoy my both Pauls. But I'm sure I'm the I'll surely enjoy. I'll surely take off time to enjoy traveling. Why? Because I think it makes you appreciate the world, and I also appreciate Uganda, because in the midst of all that, you realize there's a lot of good stuff in Uganda. The food, the weather, the friendliness, and every other good thing. Because like I found more homeless people in Boston and New York than in Kampala. I saw more. I'd be like trying to eat my chips and chicken and McDonald's, and there's a white guy begging you for half a piece of your chicken. It's very humbling. And he's not a white kid, he's a grown-up man, about 55. You're walking on the street in New York and there's this lady, like the age, your mother's age, and she's not claiming, she may be genuinely unemployed and homeless and asking for just $1. You know, it's very humbling for a white person to beg a black person for just one bar, and she looks legit, as in from the outlook, it's clear that $1 would really change. And you don't see a lot of that in Uganda. So overall, I found surviving here is quite easier. It's easier for the other 100K to do so much more here than anywhere else in the world.
UGS.
Yeah, 100K UGS. Out there, that's not money. You can't do $30.
As in,
$30 is a lot of
as
money.
in when you step at your day and breathe the air, that 100K is a lot.
No, even in terms of real purchasing power, like on average, this soda is how much? 1,200. How much is this soda? You won't get for even Rwandese francs in Kigali. You're not going to buy this soda for that price. Even in Nairobi, you won't get it at that price. Even in Dubai, you won't get it at that price. Even in Dubai, you won't get it for that price. So it's even the KFC here is cheap. Daniel can correct me at 16.5, that's what? So how many dollars is that?
That's four.
Yeah, where you going to get a meal for $4 anyway in the world? It's easy to survive. And maybe the big takeaway is that this one place where even for zero income, you'll still find people living or more. Like I'm sure each of us has that relative who just doesn't work. But they eat 3 meals a day, they have bed sleeping. Out there, that cat. No one is interested in that story.
It's a lot better to be here than to be there. You can very easily go homeless in the abroad than here. So for me, unlike them, it was more school than work. So I got to attend schools in different countries, the most peculiar countries. That's what I've been told. What I mean is Tunisia, for example. Before I moved there, I did not even know where it was located. Neither was anyone.
For you, do you know? You're saying, wow, wait. Yeah. It's okay.
So whenever I tell my friends from primary school that, oh, me, I'm in this place, was after P7, everyone asks you, where did you go for secondary?
And you're lying.
So you said Tunisia, and everyone is like, what's that? Is that a school? Is it?
Tunisia,
where exactly is it? So I got the opportunity to grow up in such places where I got to experience different cultures, different types of people, being in a place where you're in a room of people, but you do not understand what anyone else is saying. I was challenged with having to learn new languages, whereby you're placed in a place, you're 11 years old, and they placed you in a school where no one literally understands what you're saying, or you don't understand what everyone else is saying. So even the teacher is teaching in French, and you literally have no idea what's going on. So that's kind of what I was in, and for me, it taught me adaptability, being able to adapt to whatever situation. So tomorrow you can put me in the middle of Bangkok and I'd be able to survive. There's a lot of value that comes out of someone being different from you. And usually the human default is if someone's different from me, ideally I'm not going to interact with them or I won't have anything in common with them. But I found that when you're constantly with different people, there's a lot to learn. There's a lot of new stuff, and it's personally I'm a curious person, so for me it was a nice kind of setting to grow up in, which I guess gave me skills that are helping me here.